going to find out about what is going on in West Papua. And I don't know how much you know. I know that I can do with knowing more in terms of our people in the part of the world. So as they join the platform, I will be welcoming on now the Raki Ap, spokesperson for Free the West Papua campaign, and Brother Louis Prai. So hopefully they are joining us now as I'm speaking to you. Just allowing for the technology to keep up with me. Greetings, Brother Raki Ap, Brother Louis Prai. Thank you very much for joining us today. So to be joined by Sister Chizoba Okwo, invited onto the platform. Sister Chizoba, founder of the Africans in Diaspora, is joining us, and I will allow her to lead you and really just getting into a discussion with you so you can share some valuable information about the work that you are doing, what's going on with our family in that part of the world. And yes, so let me just, Sister Chizoba, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Angela.
Okay, wonderful. So this is Sister Chizoba Okwo, founder of Africans in Diaspora. And as I introduced Brother Raki Ap and Brother Louis Prai, I will leave a hand over to you. So let's get into the unfinished decolonization of West Papua.
Thank you, Sister Angela, for the introduction.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you for inviting me to this wonderful conference. You're welcome, Raki.
Thank you, Angela, for having us.
Thank you.
All right, so
happy African Liberation Day.
Okay. So can you please tell us more about West Papua?
So this was to me, Sister Chizoba?
Yes. Raki?
Yes. So
I'm gonna
yes. So first of all, I want to do warm greetings to all our brothers and sisters and the previous speakers, which I've listened very heartily and interested in. So my name is Raki Ap, and I'm the spokesperson for Free West Papua campaign, and I'm gonna bring you to another part of the world, which is the island of New Guinea. For those who not know where it is right above the continent of Australia, and it's the home of the indigenous peoples of both West Papua, which is the eastern half of the island, and then we got the independent states of Papua New Guinea, which is the eastern half of the island. And West Papua is, of course, is the western half of the island of New Guinea. And as you probably heard, the island have been split due to colonialism, and we have seen what colonialism have done with the continent of Africa. And before that, we got the period of global slavery, which have resulted in a lot of death. And after that, we got colonialism, and then post-colonialism, which actually didn't end with Africa, because what is happening in West Papua, where the island of New Guinea have been split into two countries, one West Papua, where me and Brother Louis Prai is coming from, and was colonized by the Netherlands, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, at the beginning of 1700, and we became part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands since the illegal transfer of West Papua under the previous name, former Dutch New Guinea, to the current colonizer, as we know as Indonesia, since 1962, where both countries signed an agreement, as we know as the New York Agreement, where they decided about the future of West Papua without the consultation of any indigenous West Papuans. So since then, we actually became colonized by Indonesia when they invaded West Papua with a military aggression in 1963. And since then, the killing started and the torture started and the rape started of women. My father, Arnold Ap, was murdered by Indonesian military. That was the reason I fled to the Netherlands, where I grew up, and now served in a Dutch military. And I learned much more about this military institution, which should stand for peace and justice, but it's actually realized by these countries to exploit and protect the resources, for example, in Africa, but also in West Papua. So yeah, in a nutshell, West Papua, the western half of the island of New Guinea, colonized previous by the Dutch and now colonized by Indonesia, and have resulted in a genocide for the people of West Papua until this day. And that is why we are very thankful to have this opportunity to educate our brothers and sisters in Africa, but also abroad in the African diaspora, to educate them. And as my previous interviewers told, indeed, education is so important for us to understand who we are and what is happening in our countries in the past, but also nowadays, because colonialism didn't end. It is still happening, for example, in West Papua, but also the injustice against African descendants all across the world. So thank you for giving us the opportunity.
All right. Thank you, Raki, for sharing your story. I'm so sorry about what happened to your father. I did not know anything about West Papua until recently, so I'm happy you're here to spread the word. Thank you.
Thank you.
Louis, Prai, this question goes to you. So why do you say that the decolonization of West Papua is unfinished? And what are the struggles of your people? What are your people going through right now? Louis, did you get the question?
He's muted. I think Brother Louis is muted.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to rephrase it. Can you tell us more about West Papua and the struggles that your people are going through, and why you say that the decolonization of West Papua is unfinished?
I think
you just need to click the unmute button, the button, the audio, the one that says audio. You just click on it. Yes.
Once again, Louis.
Once again, yeah.
Press the button once again.
Yes, now.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So why we're saying that it is an unfinished business, because if you look at the history of West Papua and how it became part of Indonesia, it was done through an illegal process. Starting from the beginning, when the Dutch colonized West Papua, and then the New York Agreement, where our people, our leaders during the time, were not given the opportunity to participate in the New York Agreement, where they need to have a say in the future of the country. So the 1962 New York Agreement was mainly involved the Dutch and the Indonesian government. It never involved the Papuans. So we were kept in dark about what's actually going on, and then leading up to the 1969 Act of Free Choice. And most of you would know by now where Indonesia actually violated international law when they're supposed to have a genuine referendum where you need to have all the adults participate in that referendum. So what they did was they selected 1,025 Papuan elders and actually, stuck them in rooms and forced them to say yes to become part of Indonesia. This was all done under the threat of violence and guns. So we were forced to become part of Indonesia against our will. So we were not given the opportunity to really exercise our rights under international law, where every adult Papuans should have been given the right opportunity to participate in the vote. So in reality, UN know that the whole process, actually violated, the law. So they kind of went along with what Indonesia wants. So we as the Papuans, we think that we still have a right to self-determination, and we will keep on demanding until that right is given to us. And we feel that it is an unfinished business. And United Nations actually started that decolonization process, and then they left They didn't complete it. So they need to come back and complete that decolonization process in West Papua.
Right, right. Thank you for sharing that, Louis. Pray. Would you like to add on to that, Raki?
Yeah, no, I just want to underline indeed that, the right of self-determination for the people of West Papua was hijacked by Indonesia and the Netherlands by not giving the West Papuans the fair right. But it was, I want to mention that very clearly to our African brothers and sisters, that the United Nations was there and facilitated this fake referendum, which was held in 1969, which have resulted in the more than 500,000 killings, which NGOs have now estimated since the past 57 years of the Indonesian colonization in West Papua, and the killings are still going on. Under the eyes of the United Nations, the Netherlands and Australia, our closest neighbors, they are closing their eye. As a matter of fact, Australia and Indonesia signed a pact that Indonesia forbid Australian government to mention something about the right to self-determination for the people of West Papua. This is the modern day slavery. How is this possible? And so what we are calling to our brothers and sisters in Africa is to support, as people can see, we are clearly part of the African family. Curly hair, black-skinned, part of the Melanesian and Pacific region, and the right of self-determination, which was hijacked. And therefore, it is very important for people to break the silence of what Indonesia and the Western countries have done in Africa, divide and conquer, to make people unaware about certain injustices which are still happening today. And that is our hope. We are really glad to have this opportunity to express what is happening there.
Yeah, and just to add on to what brother Ap said, with current situation that our people are facing right now is there is a mass transmigration of Javanese and people from other parts of Indonesia moving to West Papua, and they taking up the land. And as a result, if you look at the data today, we are already marginalized on our own land. So our people basically don't have the rights to move around and to engage in speech or freedom of assembly. And everywhere there is military and police, even to the rural areas, the villages. Our land, our villages are all also being kind of like heavily being. You have the presence of the Indonesian military and police everywhere, so our people are kind of suppressed. They're living in a life that is so full of depression. There is depression there. The people can really fully express their freedom to do what they want. So, and also there is racism in our people are facing right now. You guys might have seen the recent situation that happened last year, where we are being called monkeys by Indonesians. So they see us as different from them. So that racism is so big that even our students who go and study in other parts of Indonesia, they are being racially abused. So we are questioning the whole idea of West Papua being integrated into Indonesia. So we see that this is something that shouldn't have happened. It is an illegal process, and how we became part of Indonesia, and all these problems and racism that our people are going through. It shows that it is a forced integration where we are not meant to be part of Indonesia, and we feel the United Nations needs to come and correct the mistake. They were involved in it in the very beginning, and they need to come back and create the mess they left in West Papua.
All right. Thank you, Louis, for sharing that. So how did you become involved in activism and freedom fighting, and what are the challenges that you have faced since then? I mean, anyone could go first, and then the other.
Yeah.
I'll go first. My uncle is one of the co-founder of OPM, Oppressive Free Papua Movement. He's currently in exile in Sweden, and as a result, it also impacted my family and my dad, who was a teacher by profession. And we came fled as a refugee to Papua New Guinea, and we lived in a refugee camp for I think for about 40 years, 35 years in a refugee camp. And yeah, and then there was a struggle as a child growing up. We speak a different language to the locals there, and I couldn't really understand why we are people in same in color, and then they're speaking something else, and we are speaking like Indonesian. So when I began to grow up, I began to understand I'm a refugee, and the reason why I'm here. So as a child growing up, I began to find out what the about West Papua, and I don't know much about it until I started getting involved, and then with the opportunity of being educated and the English that I've learned, I think that I can play a role in trying to help my people in getting the message across to the international media, and yeah, to everyone. So yeah, that's basically how I started. So yeah.
All right, thank you,
Thank
Louis.
you.
Raki?
Yes, thank you, sister, for the question. So my story actually started with the killing, assassination of our father, Arnold Ap, who was a anthropologist and a famous musician until today. And his by his assassination, which happened just 4 months before I was born, he was put in prison, and then the Indonesian military set up a scenario where he fled, and then that was the circumstances that he was killed. So my mother and three brothers fled to the neighboring Papua New Guinea, where I was born in a refugee camp. And not later than a year, we went to the Netherlands because it was a former colonized. A lot of West Papuans live here, so it was a good choice for us to come here. And after I get older, and I really realized why I didn't have a father anymore, my mother told me that he was assassinated. That was the moment, something changed in me, and I become a freedom fighter, but also nowadays in the Netherlands, a activist and storyteller. Because now I'm going to universities giving lectures about our shared history. Because the West Papua was a former Dutch colony. How is it possible that we don't read anything in Dutch history books? I haven't learned anything of how we are a history. And this is something, which is transforming me in a very optimistic, all-round activist, storyteller, and freedom fighter, to be an ambassador for the people of West Papua. Because my father's story is just one of the 100,000 of stories, because of the killing and continuing occupation of West Papua by Indonesia. And I want to highlight that why I'm so motivated every day, not ending pessimistic. West Papua has world's biggest gold mine located in the heart, second largest copper mine, and many other resources. And still, the indigenous West Papuans live as poorest citizens, second class, third class citizens in our own country. This is wrong. And this is the narrative we don't hear in the Netherlands, nor at UN levels when they're talking about peace and justice. And what I want to tell is that even without freedom, in full oppression, with very little resources, this simple involvement of me and all my fellow brothers, such as Louis Prai and all the others in West Papua and abroad, who are educating people about the injustice happening there, and the blind eyes and deaf ears of Western countries and media is the root causes of what brought West Papuans in this situation. So my commitment every day is to create change, and we have realized a huge change in the last 5 years, knowing that we have no freedom and very little resource. And this is the optimism we have every single day, educating people. And that is what I want to encourage our brothers and sisters to understand power. Power is getting involved, using the freedom you have every day, and to create change for people who are in hopeless situations from West Papua, but all the others in the African continent as well, using the opportunities to create change. And we have the confidence that we can transform an independent West Papua in a green economy, the first green economy in the world. That is our vision. And the only thing we need is freedom. And that is what I'm educating people every single day.
All right. Thank you so much, Raki. I believe we're out of time. So what message do you have for everyone today? How can we help?
Brother Lewis?
What
I
message?
would like
Oh, I'm sorry.
to,
Sorry.
the message that I would like to put forward to bigger family in Africa continent, and those living in diaspora. We need the support. We need your help in lobbying to your own government, and especially African Union. And we feel that Africa can play a vital role in trying to get the message for the West Papuan people to UN, because we feel that we're part of the big family, and when somebody is in help in need, um, they need to help. So we feel with a message to the people in Africa, and especially our brothers and sisters, we the people of West Papua desperately need your help in lobbying to your government, in trying to push the message of self-determination into UN especially. So yeah, that's the message.
Okay. Thank
Yes.
you so much. Raki, you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I just want to underline that and want to express my gratitude to the opportunity, and I want to encourage my brothers and sisters to understand that Africa is not a poor country. Africa,
It
correction,
is, yeah.
Africa is not a
It's
poor
not, yeah.
country. Nor is West
It's
Papua
not, yeah.
country. We have
Yes,
all resources to build a countries. It is the system which
yeah,
keep us poor. So I want to highlight
yes.
my brothers and sisters, educate ourselves to understand that we are proud peoples and we have the resources to build a continent, to build our nations, and we
Mm,
should stand shoulder to shoulder. That is my encouragement to stay strong and build on the unity and get involved every single day to create a change. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Raki Ap and Louis Pray. This has been wonderful. We appreciate you sharing the story of the people of West Papua, and we're going to try our best to spread the word and make sure everybody knows. And we hope that West Papua will be free soon.
Yes,
Thank you.
for
Thank you so
sure.
Thank you
much.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you for
Thank you
having
so much.
us. Yeah.
Over to you, Angela.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes. Yes, I'm just
Yeah,
seeing if you can
loud and
hear
clear.
me. Wonderful. So no, thank you very much. I was trying to follow the questions, which I think that were answered. But if brother Raki and brother Lewis, you're still there, somebody was asking when you were talking about, the division, that the land suffered. It's like if you can just repeat, like how and who divided the island.
Oh yes, that was during the colonial period. When after the war, the island was actually split into half. So the western half, where me and brother Raki come from, was colonized by Dutch, and the eastern half, Papua New Guinea, was colonized by the British. So later, when the British and the German left, they handed over to Australia. So 1975, Papua New Guinea was able to get the independence, but West Papua was under the Dutch rule. So Indonesia actually, like, when they applied for independence to UN, they wanted to include West Papua, but Dutch said no. West Papua are people that are ethnically and racially different from the rest of Indonesia, so they held on to West Papua. But somehow, as you from the history, how Indonesia, involved the Russian, and how they came to this New York agreement. So the island was actually just one land, but somehow it was split during by the colonizers, the Dutch and the British, the Germans there.
Okay, thank you very much. And I mean, is there any issue, because I don't know how many of us collectively know about the issues in West Papua. Is there any extent to which, I guess, amongst that section of our people, there's been a need to kind of, what do I want to say? I want to say recognize or fight to recognize that you are African as well. Have you had those challenges?
Well,
So
if you look at the racism that our people are currently going through right now, they call us all these names like monkeys. Go back to Africa. That's why you do all these name callings, and this is since Papua became part of Indonesia. This racism has been going for a very long time, and we feel that we are part of the big wider family, and the problem that we're going through now, we just basically needs the help and support from everyone, and that including our bigger family in Africa, because after all, we are not meant to be part of Indonesia. We are black people. And the two races can't coexist. It won't work. Basically, yeah.
if I can add
Maybe.
one small phrase, I just want to add this one
Sure.
slogan which always keep me in mind, and which is this one: no matter where a black man or woman is coming from, his ancestor is an African. So this is something, we always say a part of the family of the African continent, of how we on the other side of the planet, we feel strong connected to our family, and this is our cry to
Yeah.
our family members to help us towards the right of self-determination.
Mhm.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Wow. Well, we could stay here for another 20 minutes, but that is our time is up, and I hope many others have been enlightened about our brothers and sisters over there in West Papua, so that we can press on. There's lots of sections that we need to work on, but still to attain the same thing, an Africa united beyond borders. So, Brother Raki,
Absolutely.
Brother Lewis, thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope to see you again soon. And family audience, if you're watching live or watching the replay, I invite you to give your virtual round of applause for the brothers here
Thank you so
whilst
much for
we
having
move
us.
on with the program. And you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And to all of you who are watching, do drop your comments, your questions. They will be picked up. Technology will not defeat us. They will be picked up. And not only that, it's not only us here representing or speaking. The whole point is for us to be united, to collaborate. You don't know what other conversations you can spark off amongst the family elsewhere. So please do comment, do ask questions. Let's amass our knowledge, and most importantly, work out how we translate that into action that we can take. Because we sure can talk, and it's good to talk, but we need the follow-up action. We need the follow-up action now.
Yeah,
It's we're beyond that now. So thank you
Absolutely.
very much.
thank you so much. Thank you
Did you
for
want to
having me.
say something, Brother Raki?
All good. Thank you, Angela, and thank you, Daniel, for inviting us. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, and thank you, Sister Chizoba, for facilitating
Yeah,
that.